Last week you saw us cook up some crawfish in Holly Clegg's trim and terrific kitchen. This week Avery Davidson is going to help us learn more about Louisiana's official state crustacean from this week's in-studio guest. Avery?
Thanks, Mike. Last week Holly Clegg was cooking them up. This week we're talking them up, talking about crawfish. Joining me is Jerry Walls. He wrote the book Crawfishes of Louisiana. I understand, Jerry, this is your 45th book, correct?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about why you chose to write about crawfish in Louisiana.
Well, I guess crawfish have always just been my passion. I've been interested in crawfish since I was a kid. You'd always go out and set your traps and whatever it is, and there'd be large ones, small ones, striped ones, spotted ones, and everybody just said, oh, they're all one thing, and they're just babies and adults and so on. When I got to college at McNeese, I have a master's from McNeese, I was lucky enough that starting the same year I did was a new professor from Mississippi, Dr. Joe Black, who had actually worked with Penn in New Orleans, the only one interested in crawfish taxonomy, the identification of crawfish. And I was able to learn from him how to distinguish the different types. And it's always been my passion since then. I'm basically a crawfish taxonomist that works with lots of other things as well.
I know a lot of folks in Louisiana probably think there are only two types of crawfish, boiled and already eaten. But there are many varieties here in the state. Tell me a little bit about all the different ones.
Well, we have 39 species and subspecies, and there's 39 types. And they vary from a couple of species that the maximum size, the biggest they'll get, is about an inch. Okay. While on the other hand, we have things like the big red swamp, the one that everybody eats, and the southern white river, also an eating crawfish from the Atchafalaya. They'll get up to about 5 inches. They vary from things that are found in ditches and ponds to species that are found only in clear flowing streams in the central and the southern and the eastern parts of the state, found on sand bottoms where everything's relatively cool and everything, to things that are extremely abundant, to species known only from one area in the state, one locality, one population.
This is probably the only or most comprehensive book on crawfish in Louisiana?
It's the only Louisiana crawfish. It came out by just coincidence 50 years after Penn's little first attempt to put together all that was known about the identification of crawfish. That was in 1959. And this one goes lots further. We've added several species since 1959. We know a little bit more about how to tell one species from another. We know better about how they're found in different parts of the state. And this book also covers things like a little bit about their culture, their history, some of the myths about them, about how they've always been so important to Louisiana, which they really haven't, surprisingly so. I was very surprised at that. I grew up when crawfish was something you ate at Lent, you know, and the rest of the year, unless you were really poor, you didn't bother eating crawfish very much, you know. So.
Which means you can go out, find it in your favorite bookstore. It's called Crawfishes of Louisiana. Jerry Walls, thank you so much for joining us. So Mike, there you go. If you want to learn more about crawfish, this is the book you got to go out and get.